We have been walking 14 days. At last, we have reached the gateway to the foothills. Citadel Hill. It has been called the most desolate spot on Earth. A 200-foot wall of ice. At the bottom, the deep, dark hole of Bershan. This is not a place for humans.
My name's Tony Merzetti. I'm the executive director of the New Brunswick Filmmakers Co-op, and I've been involved in filmmaking for quite a long time now. I teach a class at UNB in filmmaking, and I've worked at the New Brunswick Filmmakers Co-op now for, I guess, 40 years. I was born in St. John. I grew up there. I went to UNBSJ and studied business, and then I went to St. Mary's and got a master's in business. When I graduated with my MBA, I didn't want to be an accountant. I had always had an interest in filmmaking since my early days, and I decided that I would try to pursue that. I just read a whole bunch of books on filmmaking, and then one day I discovered that there was a place called the New Brunswick Filmmakers Co-op in Fredericton that people could go to and learn about filmmaking, and they didn't need any previous experience. So that was how I sort of got started in filmmaking, I guess, was joining the film co-op. And once I got here, that sort of set me on my path. The co-op is a place where people can get together to work collaboratively on a film project. So one person may have an idea for a film, and they'll get other people at the co-op to help them out in various roles, and then they'll volunteer to work on other people's films. It's that volunteer thing that sort of allows everyone to make films on a very low budget. So your crew and your cast generally will volunteer their time. That sort of economy allows people to make films that might not be able to, with the traditional paying model of making films.
No. No! No!
So I volunteered to do clapper, sound recordist, grip, whatever was needed. I jumped in and did it. And then I also worked as an editor on one of the short films. So I felt like I had a good grounding in what was necessary to make a film. And they asked me if I wanted to make my own film. So I thought, okay, that sounds cool. That's sort of why I came here, was to try to make my own film someday. So then I thought, well, what am I going to make? What idea do I have? And I realized that was sort of the starting point for your film, is you had to have an idea. So at that time, I was watching a TV show called The Man Who Skied Down Everest. I sort of got a little bit annoyed with the film because this guy had all these people helping him carry supplies up Mount Everest so he could ski down it. And he had all this Eastern philosophy about, this journey that he was going on and all this. And then about 30 seconds into his ski run, he fell. And he basically slid down that hill. And I said, you failed, man. You failed. It's like, you're making it sound like you won and, that this is some great victory for you. So that's where I got the idea of doing a mockumentary. I was going to do something where someone would have a less ambitious hill, but he would sound very pretentious and, very big about what his accomplishment was going to be.
I have traveled the globe to ski, to soar with the winds, to laugh with the gods.
So my film was about this person going with two friends to climb Citadel Hill and ski down it. So anyone who knew what Citadel Hill was would know that this is not a vast mountain that you're climbing, and that there's got to be a punchline at the end of it, which, I had intended. And I used the narration that was used in the original film, and then added my images, which, I had hoped would create some counterpoint to what his original story did. So just to sort of make fun of this actual person's venture. And then I got my crew, which was 3 people, and these were all people who I'd worked with previously on projects at the co-op. And then we shot it with an Arri S 16mm camera. So I got to use a camera for the first time. And that was, for me a little nerve-wracking because I'd never used this camera before. But the people that were working with me, they were familiar with the gear and they were there to mentor and make sure that I didn't make, any major mistakes that would screw up the film. So we went out and we shot for a few days. It was a really great learning experience to have an opportunity to realize your vision and have these people supporting you in doing it. And when the film was finished, I got to show it at the Atlantic Film Festival. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot through the process about all aspects of film because I did the picture editing and the sound editing of it afterwards. And I went to Toronto to get the final sound mix done. So it was a really, really, good way to learn about the process of making a film. And there's something that's sort of neat about doing a project that's your own. You sort of put yourself out there and your ideas and stuff like that and get to see how people react to it. And usually people, get a laugh out of it. They get the joke of what I was trying to do. And, I can live with it. But a lot of times the stuff you do in the past, you sort of, hide when people talk about it. The Brunswick Film Co-op started shooting the film Spectre of Exton this week. Chief planners, Dave Clark, co-op manager, Tony Merzetti, production manager, and Kevin Holden, director. Some of us started talking about doing something more ambitious, and this idea of doing a half-hour drama came up. So Kevin Holden, the director, found a story written by Stuart Truman, a short story about a folk tale in New Brunswick called The Spectre of Exton. And he thought a ghost story would be kind of fun.
What is that?
Oh God,
Me and Dave Clark, the coordinator at the co-op, went to Halifax to talk to the National Film Board. We pitched them on the idea, and they sort of jumped in with money, film processing, work print, a whole bunch of things that would have been really expensive for us to try to do on our own. We got about 20 people or more who worked on the film. We shot it over 24 days, and I should say nights because 3/4 of the film was night shooting. It was a really, really ambitious project, but that was the genesis of it, and that was back in 1984. We got lots of people came out and joined the co-op as members to crew the film. We had a lot of people auditioning for the roles in the film, so we had no problem with our casting. We shot, most nights we shot until dawn. So we would arrive on set about 9 o'clock, and when it got dark, we would start shooting. And we shot over the summer, we shot for 24 days. So we asked a lot of people, but people bonded. They became, lifelong friends. They really enjoyed the experience. We had been working on the film for probably a couple of years editing it, but we just weren't getting it finished. And I think we were sort of like, we don't know what to do next. We don't know how to finish this. And they told us, they said, look, no matter how the film turns out, he said, the important thing is to finish it. You have to finish these things because that's going to prove to you and to others that you can do it. And when you go to do something else, people will believe like, okay, they finished their last project. We can trust them with money to finish something. So that's what we did. And it actually turned out pretty good. People still watch it today and say, oh, I really like that Spectre of Exton film. And I think for me personally, Stuart Truman said something to us, which has stuck to me to this day. He wrote a letter when he gave us support for using his short story for our film. and said that people in Upper Canada do stories on Riel and Radisson and people that live, in other parts of Canada. But if our stories are to be told, we have to tell them ourselves. And that's when I really started to think about regional filmmaking and the importance of looking into stories of people from here, stories of events and things that have happened in New Brunswick, and getting those stories out there. And I think that's been something whenever someone's come to the co-op with a story and it's been like a New Brunswick story that no one's heard before, it's a little known piece, I get really excited about it because I know that New Brunswickers are going to see something on the screen that they wouldn't see if they had to wait for someone from, say, Upper Canada to do it.
That's what said.
For us, what we'd like to see is the growth of the film industry overall so that people can get paid work doing TV series and feature films and other projects here in the province. It's been up and down with the industry side of filmmaking in New Brunswick. Hopefully now we're at a point where we're going to see an increase in the amount of funding that the province puts in so that we'll see more film opportunities for people to do things. We've had some people making feature films, on low budgets and stuff in the community, which is great to see. But then I see people also making a living doing it. Like they don't have to have a totally different job that they work at during the day and then weekend warriors making films, but that they can sort of complement and work in film full time and do the weekend shoots whenever they can. You can check out the website for the Film Co-op. It has a lot of information about our activities and how to get involved. And then if you decide you want to get involved, you can contact the Membership Services Director at the Co-op and she can help you with getting all set up.
Thank you so much.
Okay.